Hi, how are you doing? This is Pastor Cheryl. Today's study on the Synoptic Gospels, Matthew, Mark, and Luke, is on, it's called anxiety, but I think you're going to find more than that in here. Matthew 6:25 through 34 and Luke 12:22 through 31. I'll write it down for you so that you can look it up yourself. If you notice, Matthew and Mark is a little different. Matthew's got a big gap right down here and a gap here where he's leaving a sentence out. Okay? Luke has got a gap here and here and here. And you're going to find their message is similar but different. Interesting, though. Interestingly different. We will start with Matthew 6:25 through 34. Therefore I tell you, do not be anxious about your life, what you shall eat or what shall you drink, nor about your body, what shall you put on. Is not your life more than food, and your body more than clothing? Look at the birds of the air. They neither sow, nor they reap, nor they gather into barns, and yet your heavenly Father feeds them. Are you not more than they? And which one of you, by being anxious, can add one more cubit to his span of life? And why are you anxious about clothing? And then we got a gap here. That people did not have much back then. If they just had one tunic, that's about, it. And if they had two, they were doing pretty good. Consider the lilies of the field, how they grow. They neither toil or spin, yet I tell you, even Solomon in all of his glory was not arrayed like one of these. But God so clothes the grass of the field, which today is alive and tomorrow is thrown into the oven. And will he not much more clothe you, O men of little faith? Therefore, do not be anxious, saying, what shall we eat? What shall we drink? What shall we wear? So, for the Gentiles seek all these things, and your heavenly Father knows that you need them all. In other words, you need what they need, and he kind of knows, and he makes sure that everyone's taken care of. Now, Luke 12:22 through 31. It puts a little different twist on it. And he said to his disciples, therefore I tell you, who do not be anxious about your life and what you shall eat. Then there's a gap. Mysterious gap there. He left out a sentence. Nor about your body, what shall you put on? For life is more than food, and body is more than clothing. Consider the ravens. They neither sow nor reap. So he's talking about ravens here. The other guy's talking about lilies. They neither sow nor reap, nor either storehouse nor barn, and yet God feeds them all. Of how much more value are you than the birds? And which of you are being anxious and can hold a cubit of his span of life? A cubit was like a measurement. I think it was less than a yard, like a foot and a half or something. I'd have to figure it out. And if you are not able to do as small a thing as that, why are you anxious about the rest? Consider the lilies. Here we're back to the lilies. And there's a gap here. There's a gap. You see the big gap there? How they grow. They neither toil or spin. Yet I tell you, even Solomon in all of his glory was not arrayed like one of these. But God so clothes the grass, which is alive in the field today and tomorrow is thrown into the oven. You're hearing the same story over again. How much more will he clothe you, O men of little faith? ? And not seek what you are to eat and what you are to drink, nor be of anxious mind, for all the nations of the world seek these things, and your Father knows that you need them. We have been instructed, all the Christians, that we are going to go through some hard times. And even the non-Christians now, they're beginning to tell them that. We're going to go through some hard times. And our economy was supposed to shut down in November. Here in the United States, it did not shut down. And that's because we got that Trump. And he did a lot of cutbacks. Otherwise, we would have shut down. We would have been in trouble. But China, their banks closed. And they shut down, and their factories closed, and they blame us. They blame Trump with his tariffs. And they're angry at us. They're actually very angry. They blame us for their problems. What the problem was COVID. COVID. Remember where that came from. Anyway, COVID closed down a lot of businesses. We had to close the businesses and isolate to get rid of that disease. Worldwide this happened. So the economic problems we're facing today is because of COVID. And bad decisions. We've had presidents in the past that have borrowed money out of Social Security and did not replace it. Remember, if you borrow a library book, you have to take it back. You have to return it. These presidents did not return that money. And so now Social Security is in trouble. And once Social Security ends, they're going to have to add some other Social Security to people over the age of 65. And they might raise the age. I think they have 66. And I think they might want to go up to 70. I think still people will be retiring at 65. Because when you get up around there, you're pretty ready to retire. You really are. You're getting fed up. Remember that we are supposed to stock up. Still, something could happen. With things that would be needed for a blackout, such as flashlights, candles. Now, this was nifty. I found this online, and it charges up a phone, and it's also a flashlight. See if I can get it to work here. The little button. Ah, there we go. And I could signal with it. Okay. It was not expensive. And I got that online with Amazon. That was not an expensive item. And because it'll help charge up your phone and anything else that takes those kind of plug-ins here, it's useful. Because if we have a blackout, you're going to need something. You're going to definitely need something. You'll be wandering around in the dark at night. And make sure that you put away non-perishable foods. It's going to last a couple months, even to a year. Okay, let's be generous. Stock up as much stuff as you can in your cupboards. Because we don't know. We don't know. And be creative. You have beds, right? With a big gap under it? Big gap. Okay, under your bed? You could take boxes and put canned goods in there or whatever you might need and just shove them under the bed. Underneath chairs. Underneath tables. Make sure you stock up lots of water and have sufficient amount of blankets in case the power goes out and your furnace won't kick on. Here in the Midwest, we have horrendous winters. It's normal. This is normal for here. Some winters we'll get a cold snap. Every winter we get a cold snap. And it's been as cold as 50 below. Make sure you're ready. for that sort of thing. Have like an extra source, a little stove or something, source of heat. Be a good idea in case something happens. Part of the problem is our sun has corona holes in it, and it's putting out a lot of gravitational pull and shooting out rays. And we are losing our electromagnetic field around the planet. It's doing a shift, and it'll do that for a while until it flips. It's flipping. This is a thing in nature, we didn't have, like 100,000 years ago, we didn't have batteries and stuff, and, gadgets. I'm going to say, these little phones are probably the most creative gadgets we've ever had, okay? It does a great deal. So, be prepared. Think about what you might need, so that you won't be having an anxiety attack when everything hits the fan, okay? If all of a sudden something bad happens, we're supposed to be getting, they keep predicting a virus from Europe. Another virus will be unleashed, something to do with that war over there. Watch for it. Pray that it doesn't happen, okay? Some virus that'll affect children. Oh, that's terrible. We don't want anything more like that. I think we've had enough. We've had enough stuff really go on. They keep talking about how we're supposed to ascend. They said by the year 2030, there's even secular people that said we're supposed to ascend, we're supposed to go past that, and other people claim that we're going to be in some sort of a war in the year 2030. You have to think about it. I think we are too smart to get involved in a war. It doesn't do any good. It's really best to help one another. If some other nation is hungry and they need food, yeah, can we help them? Yeah, we can. Yeah, and they can help us. And that is why we are here. That is why we are here. We don't need any more wars. We don't need any more of that stuff. So really stock up around the house. And don't forget your puppy dogs and kitty cats. Make sure you stock up enough food to drag them on through the winter months and whatever. And then stock up on dried goods. If you run out of dog food, rice, lentils, and peas. You can boil that stuff up. Yep. I've done it before. And anyway, keep that in prayer. And we will see you tomorrow or the next day for the next little thing. The next teaching out of the Synoptic Gospels. This is supposed to be on anxiety. So let's prevent some anxiety here, okay? Let's be prepared like Boy Scouts. And we are going to go, God's answering a prayer. We'll go through that. I will see you. Bye-bye.